Hi, come on in.
And join in. It's the Very Merry Life. Hi, I'm Mary Hendricks, and you might know me as that relatable AF Mama over on Instagram who hopefully feels like an old friend at this point. And if not, it won't be long till it feels that way as we get raw, unfiltered, and very unapologetic in all things motherhood, marriage, sex, and more. From moments worth savoring to moments worth surviving, get ready to leave feeling seen and supported. You have a friend here now, so hey, take a seat. What's going on? Hi, Rachel.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. Thank you so much for deciding to come on and doing this with me because I love you. I love following you. And I love that we've been connected. And I know when I had asked a while ago in my stories for who to ask to come on the podcast, a lot of people had recommended you. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of followers that came over because of you. And I think, I remember when that happened, I was like, what's happening?
I hadn't followed you for very long you were an instant love for me. And I even remember the first reel I saw of yours. It was the one where you were like, just go outside with my kids.
Yeah.
And you're like running around and it's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my life, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, getting into that, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and then we'll chit chat. We'll do our thing, but tell everyone who you are.
Yeah. So I'm Rachel. I am a wife to a Navy guy who happens to be an eye doctor as a civilian, but is in the Navy Reserves. And we met in optometry school. So we're both practicing eye doctors. I work part-time and stay home with our 5 kids part-time. And after a small bout of infertility, we ended up with 4 successful embryo transfers, 2 sets of twins, and then a surprise right in the middle.
Wow. That's wild.
That takes up all my time.
When you say I have 5 kids, do you sometimes like stop yourself and you're like, oh my God?
Yes. No, I just told Brad today I was hanging our stockings and those are the moments that it's real to me that we actually have 5 kids. Like we are a family of 7.
Yeah.
There are not many vehicles that we can own because we don't fit in them.
Yeah.
Like we can't take our kids on a cruise because there's not enough of adults to the ratio of kids that we have. So it's bizarre.
It's crazy. I think that is so cool. So bout of infertility, you did an embryo transfer and then you ended up with your first pair of twins?
Correct. Yeah. We had, at the end of our cycle, we had 4 embryos that they froze.
Okay.
And then they transferred the 2 best ones, thinking that probably just one would take.
Yeah.
And they both took.
That's amazing. And then you had, was it just a surprise pregnancy in between there?
Total shock. It was like right after the twins turned 1 that I found out I was pregnant naturally.
Okay.
It was wild. I had an IUD because I didn't want like a natural pregnancy to happen on accident, even though the odds were really low.
Yeah.
And we were basically prepping to do another embryo transfer in the summer.
Yeah.
So it was right around New Year's. I took my IUD out and got pregnant that first cycle.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And then the twins that you have now, did you kind of try and do the natural thing again to see what would happen? Or were you just like, let's just jump into doing IVF stuff?
Yeah, no, we didn't try naturally. We basically felt it was kind of hard making the decision to transfer the last 2 embryos. There was about a year where Brad was done.
Yeah.
And he was content with 5 kids. I always felt like I wanted more kids. And then there was the variable that like Bear and Lyndall, our oldest twins, were frozen in the same freezer that our other 2 embryos are sitting in. And so everybody who does IVF has to kind of make this decision about their frozen embryos if they feel like their family is complete.
Yeah.
And none of those options felt okay to me except for giving them a chance. So ultimately we came to the agreement to transfer both of them, and they are here sleeping in our closet, which is a long story, but
well, I think that's amazing. I shared a podcast yesterday that just went live with a mom that I was connected with. I connected with her like back when I started Instagram and stuff like that, but she went through the IVF process. She had a natural pregnancy that ended up in a miscarriage because she didn't realize that she had something going on with her body and health. And then so she went uh, essentially they told her that she probably would never carry. And then they went the surrogacy route. And then they found a doctor that would try the IVF route. So she had a baby via IVF at the same exact time that her surrogate got pregnant. So she has
Oh
two
my gosh.
babies under 6 weeks old apart.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and we were just talking like the same exact thing, and she said the one thing, and I've had other moms on here talking about like that are IVF, and one mom I had a few episodes ago, she's also a twin mom, identical twins, and she through IVF, and we all guests talked about that, and they're like the one thing that they don't prep you for when doing that is like what to do with their extra embryos and like how heavily
Totally.
that weighs on your heart because like what if you can't use them? Then what? And then they're just like, and you're paying all these fees to keep them, but then you're like, it's something that they think about daily. And I'm like, I can't even imagine.
Exactly.
So I think that,
Yeah, and you really can't. I feel like it's quick to judge decisions that IVF parents make, and you're exactly right. Like you can't imagine unless you're in the situation. And
yeah,
I don't judge any other parent for what decisions they make with their embryos. It just
yeah,
kind of depends on your life circumstances, and everybody feels differently about it. So
yeah,
it's hard, man. It's yeah.
I get it. I get it. Well, when did you get started on Instagram? Like, how long have you
Mhm.
been growing on Instagram?
Well, we started on YouTube.
Okay.
And we started documenting our IVF process like in the middle of it.
Gotcha.
And the reason for that was because I had found their channel is called Ellie and Jared. And we were getting ready to go through IVF. And somehow I got onto their page because of some infertility connection.
Yep.
And so I learned so much about the IVF process and what it looks like as a family, as a couple, as human beings going through it, besides just like looking at a protocol of IVF.
Yep.
I got to look at the human element of IVF by looking at YouTube channels that represented that topic.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I want to do that. I want to show what it's like from our perspective going through this process so other people, you just feel so alone, and that
Yeah.
sounds cliche, but it's true.
Yep.
So we started sharing on YouTube, and then just kind of randomly started an Instagram page. And then it wasn't until I was pregnant with our second set of twins that Instagram really became a thing for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, because I remember like I said, I remember when you shared me on on Instagram, and I got like a 2,000 follower boost because of that. And I remember being like, "What is happening? Like, what's going on?" And then I was like, "Wait!" And then I started following you, and I was like, "Wait, I love her! Like, you're funny as heck."
Oh,
And
likewise. Likewise.
thank you, but you're funny as heck. But you're like, I feel you have dry humor. Like, do
Yeah.
you?
Oh,
I can see it,
yes.
and I love that. But you're also just like, I feel like you're very sweet, which I like, but I feel like you're sweet with like a little twist,
A little jab.
a little jab. And I love that. And that's
You
what,
never know when it's going to come out.
yeah,
No, same with you. I feel like that's why our audiences translate to each other, because you're freaking hilarious,
yeah,
but you bring a warmth to your page that is like, hey, you're not alone. That sometimes the day sucks, and you give like such a positive image with your realness of what motherhood could be like, and I love it.
thank you. Thank you. With your
Yeah.
kids, what are the age gaps? What are the ages of your kids?
I was thinking about this before we came on. So I'm pretty sure, how old's Cassidy?
She'll be 5 in December.
Okay. So
Yeah.
my twins will be 5 in the 1st of January.
Oh, okay.
So almost the same age as Cassidy.
Okay.
And then Eloise just turned 3.
Okay.
And
Yeah, that's
Spencer just,
Spencer. Spencer just turned 3 in September.
yeah, she turned 3 in September also.
Okay. Oh,
And
wow.
then I know. And then my young twins just turned 6 months.
Yeah, and
So,
Haley will be 9 months at the end of this month. Oh,
so
that's
they're all,
crazy.
yeah, they're almost exact same age differences as yours.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's so fun. One day we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna meet up in real life and we're gonna
I
get the
know.
kids or not.
How
Kids would rain on the parade, but
maybe we could leave the kids with the husbands.
yeah,
Can you imagine them with 5, 6, 7, 8,
yeah,
8 kids?
yeah. Right. Speaking of that, very
Sorry.
no, you're good. You're good.
Speaking of the husbands.
Yeah, right. That's what I was saying. Hi. Yeah, it's that's yeah. So you're in the thick of it like I am, except you got five. I have three.
So yeah, it's like two Cassidys and two Haleys.
What's been the most challenging age for you?
We'll be back after a quick break. Eye-Opening Moments podcasts are real-life stories of adversity, encounters, and perspectives. They are moments that can lift your spirits, give you some food for thought, or move you. For the introspective mind that likes to reflect, discover, and find solutions or meaning in a complex life, listen to Eye-Opening Moments podcasts.
I feel like they all have different challenges.
Yeah.
That's a hard question. And I feel like having five of them, like Lyndall, not to call out names, but Lyndall was a really, really hard newborn.
Yep.
But then like Bear and Eloise were really easy newborns. And then I never really understood the terrible twos or like the three-nager thing
Yeah.
until we had Eloise. And I mean, I love her to death and she's doing everything age appropriate, but like different kids are hard at different stages.
I know. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like not one for me, like I feel like threes were pretty easy coasting for Cassidy. Like I don't remember threes ever throwing me at all, but threes with my son. Oh my God. It's just a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very emotional and very irrational. And there's like, it's still at that age where they're still so little and they don't fully understand, but they also kind of do. And they don't really know how to regulate themselves yet. So it's just a lot. That was him screaming. Like
Uh-huh.
he's very, and he has a very short fuse and he's got a temper on him. So
Yeah.
he's a little bit of a challenge. Now five. Cassidy is going to be five, but oh my, this child is, she's giving me a run for my money. She likes to
Yeah,
tell
like
me
they
to,
know too much.
yeah. And she likes to tell me to stop my noises. And she's like a little sister almost, like where I'm like, I'll talk or I'll do something. She's like, Mommy, stop. Stop talking. I'm like, I'm like, all right, okay. And then Haley just coasts. She's third child syndrome, where she just goes along with it. But
She just has to. Yeah.
yeah,
That's like the baby twins. Everyone's like, they're so laid back. Like they do not have a choice.
no, they don't have a choice at all. They're kind of like they're fourth and fifth fiddle. So, oh gosh. Well, I with the twin pregnancies, because I feel like that's not. I think you bring an excellent example for like twin pregnancies, IVF pregnancies, natural pregnancies, like all of that stuff. I think you kind of hit every mark, which I think is pretty cool with twin pregnancies, just because I mean, I've never had a twin pregnancy, but your first one, was that challenging in any way? Did you ever hit any snags with either of them?
That was my easiest pregnancy.
Oh, really?
Thank goodness, or else I probably wouldn't have done it again. Um, it wasn't, I was pretty sick in the beginning. It was just like a very, very stereotypical pregnancy. I was pretty sick in the beginning, but I think I only threw up like twice.
Yep.
And then the rest of the time it was just normal stuff, like a little bit of sciatic nerve pain. And I carried, I don't know, I didn't look like I was pregnant with twins, according to a lot of people. So I carried decently well with the first set of twins. Second pregnancy is when I got nailed with peripartum depression, which is something that I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
And I think it was just different in every way because it was a surprise pregnancy. I felt like the whole time it was happening to me.
Yeah.
It was just so different because the first one was ultra planned, second pregnancy unplanned, not the timing I would have chosen.
Yeah.
We also didn't find out her gender during the pregnancy. So I never felt like I really connected during pregnancy.
Yeah.
It was just I probably should have in hindsight found out the gender and it maybe would have helped me get through that like mental aspect of it was just horrid.
Yeah, well,
And
that sounds a lot. You take a listen to my podcast at one point, the Mom Rage with her name's Alyssa Salveson, but I had her and we talked Mom Rage, but she's the one that's identical twin mom. And she
oh,
recently had her third baby. But again, same thing. It was an IVF twin babies, identical twin babies. And then she found out right before she had three babies under the age of 2. It was very like where she found out she was naturally pregnant and she was like not expecting it. But she even said, I think I was dealing with prenatal depression. I think I was depressed during my pregnancy and depressed afterwards and things like that. And she said a lot of it, I think in the beginning, was I didn't plan this. I didn't want this.
yes.
And I felt then guilty because now I'm like, this is a miracle. Like this shouldn't have happened, but this wasn't what I wanted. And she said, and even with the twins, she was like, I didn't want to be a twin mom like that. It was hard. And she was like, and I love them. She said, but it was just so because it was one embryo that split. So she said, I got shocked with all of this where I was like, oh my gosh. And she's like, I couldn't sit with it almost, but she brought such a great thing in, which is identical, kind of like what you're saying. It was just
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes when it veers off of course. You can never be
what we would have
wanted.
Yeah, it's, the whole family planning thing. I think I had a rude awakening where I had this idea in my mind where we would decide that we wanted to have kids and we would get pregnant, and that was how it went. And that got derailed from the get-go.
Yeah.
And then I had an idea of what I thought might happen from there out. That got derailed. And I think that probably happens to most families where your idea of what your family will look like doesn't necessarily pan out. And the feelings that you have with that are okay. There is no wrong or right way to feel about even planned pregnancies. Sometimes when they work, you're like, what the heck did I do?
Yeah, well, that's how I felt that's with the third with Haley, when I had a moment of being like, why did I do this? Oh my God. I was like, oh, and I remember, and it was obviously she's here. She's like, honestly, I feel like 1 to 2 really rocked my world with the kids. So I think that's why I was so terrified, because I was adding on a third and I was expecting kind of the same thing to happen with the 2 going to 2. She's fine. It's
2 to 3 isn't.
No, it did not. It's chaotic. It's chaotic. I feel like I just roll with it. I just, you just get used to the crazy at this point, but it's not anything too shocking at this point. I feel like that extra jump, which you got thrown right into too. So I can only.
Yeah, I didn't exactly. I don't feel like the transition from 0 to 2 having kids was the biggest change in our life. And then because having 2 newborns right off the bat when you've never had a newborn before and learning what all of that's about was obviously life-changing. And then 2 to 3 didn't seem bad. It was like chaos was already at a peak, and it just, you add another layer on top. And then 3 to 5 also didn't seem very bad.
Yeah. Well,
so, I don't know. It's just more people around.
I've heard going to 4, from 3 to 4 is nothing. Once you get past 3, apparently it's not a big deal. Because that's why I keep telling my husband, I'm like, He was like,
what's one more? You're already outnumbered.
Yeah, right. It's just add even numbers. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I did bring up another name. I was like, hey, if we have another baby, this is what we're naming it. And he was like, what was that? And I just said it. He was like, I was like, we didn't say no. So.
Ooh, that door's open.
Uh-huh.
It's funny how the biggest blessing or the biggest gift you can give your child is a sibling. And I totally agree with that. I'm so thrilled that my kids are going to have 4 other siblings to grow up with. That's amazing. I'm just excited to see their relationships grow and see who it's people, different kids buddy up with different kids at different times. I would say the closest to are Bear, one of my twins, and Eloise, my middle.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which is funny. And he's really obsessed with the babies.
Yeah.
And so at the same time, they're all such a gift to each other, but they're also the reason that my days are hard, because they know what buttons to push with each other, and they know how to really make some chaos with each other that wouldn't be there if they were only children.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's the thing. Funny. It's always because I get a lot of moms. Well, I don't know if you do, in messages will be like, how did you know that you're ready for another? Or I'm nervous about adding to my family, but and I always tell them, I'm like, you're not going to go, if you have one child and you're like, I cannot do this anymore. I personally don't feel like you need to, your kids are going to be fine. Like they're going to be
Yes.
perfectly fine if you are one and done, call it a day. Because honestly, at the end of the day, I think siblings are such a gift because I love that my kids have siblings. I love my brother and my sister personally, so it's like a good thing. But I said, but if I couldn't handle it, where my mental capacity was like absolutely not, then oh, that's not worth it.
No,
Worth it
no.
in the slightest.
Yeah, I think you're given a gut instinct for a reason
Yeah.
and go with it. If
Yeah.
you are content and your family feels complete with one, don't force it because
Yeah.
you just want to give them a sibling.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's where it gets hard though, because if you and your partner don't line up on when you feel like your family's complete, I don't feel like that's talked about enough because
Yeah.
that doesn't always jive. You know, if
No.
one's done and the other's not, that's a really hard thing for a relationship to withstand.
No, well,
So,
and I hear that a lot too. I think that's like a big thing. And I even know because like again, we're on the fence of I'm not even on the fence. Like Kev, I think if I were to ask my husband right now, he'd be like, no, I'm done. Like I'm
yeah,
good. But I mean, as just a mom in general and just a woman, I don't think you're ever done. Like that
I
feeling
know.
of like it's like kind of heartbreaking to think of being done. So for me, even when we are, I don't think I'll ever fully be able to say those words. Like there are some women I kind of envy those women when you meet them and they're like, "Oh no, we're shop is closed. Like we're done." And I'm like,
100%.
I was like, "How do you say that?" But not in a judgmental way. Like I wish I could say that. Like how do you have the confidence of knowing like that's it? So that's
Yeah.
where like I if we do have another baby, then that is it because of like safety C-section wise, you're a C-section mom too.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like for safety reasons, my OBGYN doesn't want more than 3 C-sections. So I would respect that. And I think that would probably be a little bit easier to stomach knowing it's like a medical safety thing. But
True.
but still. Ugh.
Yeah. I know. I have a couple of friends that are like, without question, they know they're done.
Yeah.
And I do envy that feeling because I don't have that. And I have like 5 children.
Yeah.
We need to be done. We also don't have any more embryos. We'd have to go through IVF again.
Yeah.
So like we're done. We're
Yeah.
definitely done, but I don't have that like for sure feeling.
Yeah. No, it's just something that's
So
like it's more fact of life as opposed to like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, there is closure and the door is shut, but if I had a choice in the matter and it was only up to me, then
Yeah.
I would have 100.
I know, right?
Yeah, I just love
bring,
them.
just bring them on in. That's what I do. That's the thing. It's like it's. I think that's why you're a great account to follow too because you do show both sides. I mean, you have 5 kids, so it's not easy. It's not like it's a cakewalk. There's a lot of hard days and a lot of good days, but I think that's what we need to see more of. I think that's just like, it's chaos. It's pure chaos. But I think that's what we all need to see is like a real representation because I never saw that as a kid. I think motherhood was like this beautiful thing that I kind of think it was like a shock to the system the moment like the hard stuff started happening and I was like, wait, I don't think I was prepped for this
Yeah.
properly. So I'm like trying to navigate all of that and not screw up my kids, which is ugh.
Yeah, you have to kind of be careful about like what I have some accounts that I follow that do represent motherhood and life in general in like the rosiest light
Yeah,
and the birthday parties that are like a wedding reception.
yeah,
And it's it's hard to look at those things and not compare yourself because it's I don't know, that's what you're seeing on your Instagram feed and you're seeing this birthday party that has like this giant balloon arch and a bounce house that's color themed to match the party and it's like we're not going to be doing that.
no,
And
no,
you know, the it's you got to have a balance I guess in your Instagram feed and be intentional about what you're surrounding yourself with because comparison can be the thief of joy and
yeah. Well, it's huge.
I
I
like
mean,
your
even well, that's a big thing. Well, and I want to ask you like the hard part, what you find to be hard about sharing on Instagram, because I think I mean, I wanted to hear your answer first. What do you find hard with the influencer life?
just the meanness that can come from people, I
Yeah,
guess. And I should be careful because 99% of people are amazing and supportive, friendly, it's that 1%. And I'm not even talking about trolls. I'm talking about like someone that has been a long time follower that all of a sudden, stabs you in the heart with
Yeah, that's
some
what I just
comment
had. That's what I'm. Hold on. See, hold on. She's just like. Hold on. Kev, go downstairs, babe. Watch out. Hey, Kev, call Cassie down. Because she snuck up here. Because she's a little sneaky. Go on, go down there. Cass, don't come in. Oh, goodness gracious. I don't even know how she got over we have like
How
gates.
did she do that?
I don't know. She got gates. She's crazy. No, well, and that's what I find is like, it's not the random trolls, like I'm getting them right now because of anytime you talk about like stay-at-home mom life or mom or what marriage, Lord have mercy, you always get like the men. It's always men that come out with that stuff and they're like just nasty, which is fine because I don't really care.
Yeah, those don't hurt.
No, it literally like you'll appreciate this. I got a message the other day and I don't know why I let this lady slide for so long because I've like realized and I've like gone back through my DMs. So I'm like, wait, she said some, and I probably just didn't pay attention. But this is the one she sent me the other day. She said, how many hours a day do you spend filming your content? Are your kids always occupied with devices while you're filming your videos? Do they understand what you're doing? I'm just curious how much of this influencer stuff takes away from you raising your children and spending time with them. When I'm home with my
I'm just
kids,
curious.
I know. Yeah. I'm just, when I'm home with my 3 kids, I try to put my phone down and they always want to talk to me. Just curious if you spend more hours on your phone than with them face to face. I'm
Lord
like,
have mercy.
well, and I was like, oh God. And I responded to her and I said, that kind of hurts. And she said,
Yeah.
oh, she said, I'm so sorry. And she said, I'm not trying to shame you. And I was like,
You kind of are.
you kind of are. And I said, please do not talk like this to anyone else because this is just incredibly hurtful. But she's been following me and I like went through and she'll say like little snide remarks, but most of them were kind. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like what happened? And I think that's where I get like, because you get like consistent people, you know that how that is. Like you
Yeah.
get consistent
Oh, yeah.
people in your DMs, and I feel like everyone says that, but it is true. Like this becomes our world a little bit, where you're like,
Some are friends like you. I would consider you a friend through Instagram that I've met. I've met in person a friend that I made through Instagram. And yeah, there's commenters that, comment on everything and are so sweet. And when one of those, I guess that's the thing is when we share our lives to tens of thousands of people, you're bound to offend somebody. And nowhere else in life besides on social media would you hear the opinions of tens of thousands of people on what you're doing on a daily basis.
yeah,
And so hearing feedback literally on every move you make throughout the day is exhausting sometimes.
yeah,
When I just want to, I know at the end of the day, I'm doing the best I can. And when that's not enough for somebody, it's offensive, it hurts. And at the same time, I'm like, I invite you to come live a day in my life
yeah,
and see if you could do better.
yeah.
Like, no offense, but
Yeah. No, well, and that's the thing.
there's a
Like,
lot.
we're not trying to get on here. Like, and that's like, we do it because one, like, I feel like people forget that we're not like, we're here for a purpose. Like, I'm here for a purpose. You're here for a purpose. You're in the hopes of like meeting others, inspiring others in some way, helping other moms feel less alone. Like, that's majority. We're not just here like showcasing our life for no reason at all.
Right.
And I said that to the woman that messaged me. I like responded to her and I said, I was like, I don't even know why I'm responding. And I said, but I went through and I added up my morning clips for like everything that was like half of that day. And it was 5 minutes and 6 seconds or 5.06 seconds of total time.
Yeah.
And I said, that's how much time it has taken me to see the few clips that you've seen. And she said, wow, you really don't know what's behind the scenes. So I was like, no, you don't. Like, you're like, I try and put things out as much as possible. I know you do that, but like, at the end of the day, we don't have our phone off on all day. It's not a reality. And even a reality show is not real, but like, it's not like we're just having a camera in the corner of the room where you can watch us all day. It's just, you're seeing what clips we can put out, and majority of them are going to be nice clips because no one's going to actually air their shit.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And there's like a running joke that I almost never know where my phone is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like I'm pretty present on Instagram throughout the day.
Yeah.
And yeah, at the end of the day, you're only sharing 5 to 10 minutes of your life. And so how could one judge 5 to 10 minutes as your entirety of your life?
No, no, it's like insane. That's the downside of all this stuff. I love it.
Sure.
I love it, but ugh,
But
sometimes,
ugh.
yeah, sometimes it's like exhausting. And then
Yeah.
but then I'm like, well, what if I stopped? What would happen? And then
Yeah.
I'm like, I would be so bored. I would be so bored. That's what would
So
happen.
true.
But
Yeah. And it makes motherhood less lonely on the days that you're in it all day.
yeah,
You can quickly peek on your phone as you're nursing a baby or whatever and feel instantly connected to a bunch of other mothers that are in the same exact position as you. And that's awesome.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's just like, and that's the thing. Is like, I feel like some people just, I especially with motherhood, I don't know why everyone is like, it's a lot of, what word am I looking for? Insecurity that's passed over onto us. Like, I feel like a lot of people come in and they're like, wait, like, I feel like you're not like, I don't look at your account and I hope my account, I don't feel like we're like ones where we're know-it-alls. We're just sharing what we know. But I think people come in and they're like just projecting insecurity. And that's like that, there's only so much
Yeah.
you can do at that point.
Yeah. I have a friend that anytime I share, like, I'll sometimes share like a mean comment just to be like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I need to explain myself, which
Yeah.
I need to get over that. I
Yeah.
don't need to explain myself to anybody. I know I'm doing the best I can, but I'll sometimes share a comment that I get. And I have a friend that always tells me that hurt people hurt people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense. And, I just got to remind myself that, like you said, it's a lot more of a reflection of them
Yeah.
typically than me.
I think the meanest thing that someone ever said to me, and it honestly hurt me. And I think it was because I was like, and it wasn't mean. I think it just like hurt that it came from, and it was someone that again followed me and they were questioning why I wasn't sharing Cassidy and Spencer as much. I think you
Oh,
responded to me on that when I did it.
oh
'Cause
yeah.
they were so nasty about it. And I was like, well, first of all, they're older. Like, they don't want to be on my phone. Like, they don't want any part of this. And I'm not trying to be a perfect mommy blogger where I'm like getting my kids involved in like this stuff. I don't want to force them. I tried that. When I first started Instagram because I thought that's what you had to do to be a successful mommy influencer, which like was take those perfectly crafted photos where their outfits are all perfect and they're all put together and they cried and I was like I would get all stressed out being like sit down.
Yeah, they resist it. And I've learned the same thing. I tried to do the exact same thing because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. And I got over that pretty quickly. But like my son will literally, I'll try to take his picture in front of the Christmas tree and he'll be like, I don't want my picture taken. And you respect that.
Yeah.
You don't want your picture taken. That's totally fine. Like
Yeah.
I would love to have a photo of you in this moment, but
That's
I
fine.
also respect that boundary that you're setting. And
Yeah.
you naturally have a lot more photos of babies because I don't know, they're new and they can't really tell you not to take a picture of them and they hold still.
Yeah, well, a lot. Yes, basically. She's like in everything because I'm like, she just sits on my hip. It's easy enough. And plus,
Yes.
they grow up so fast. I mean, my older two are growing up too, but they get to like a point where they're like not growing as like crazy.
Yes.
But
Oh
with the
yeah.
babies, you're like, you have to capture every little thing because you know that those like little features are gonna
Yeah, they change
disappear.
daily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but your little one with the marks on her.
Yeah.
What are those? Oh my gosh. I
Alexander.
love those.
Yes.
I know that you're doing treatment for those to shrink, right?
Yes. Actually right now it's like to prevent them from growing.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, she has 9 total on her
Oh,
body. And
okay.
yeah, some of them are quite a bit larger. Actually, those are the smallest two that she has that are on
Yeah.
her face. And then
What are those?
they're
Are those port wine stains? Is that what they're called?
they're a little bit different. So they're called hemangiomas,
Okay.
and they are totally benign uh, tumors, basically, of like proliferative blood vessels, and
Oh,
they grow rapidly from 3 to 6-ish months. And
oh,
so she's on a oral medication just to kind of inhibit the growth of them,
gotcha.
so that they don't like if they grow too quickly, they can like ulcerate and get pretty
Yeah.
nasty. So we're just trying to keep them stable.
Yeah,
And
because
then they
that one
usually
on
go
her
away.
cheek is like a heart, and I'm like, that is so
I
cute.
know. Yeah, she's like the emoji that has the heart the three hearts.
Yeah.
She's like literally that emoji.
I love it. Are your little ones identical?
No, they're fraternal.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It is cool.
I think twins are fascinating, but I'm going to pull up questions because I think some people submitted questions for you on my stories, and then we will wrap it up and let everyone go about their afternoons. Let's see. How you manage?
If my headphones die, I'm sorry. If my headphones die, will it make a big difference in audio? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you perfect. Let's see. Lots of questions. Look at this.
Dang.
No, see, I told you.
Okay. I thought you were going to have like 3.
No. Is the CVAC required for IVF, starting surrogacy process? And I keep hearing it's required. Do you know what that means?
CVAC?
CVAC? C and then VAC, CVAC. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that is.
All right. Well, next question. I'll
Okay.
clarify. Best advice for starting your IVF journey?
Have 0 expectations. No expectations. Lower it to 0. Timing wise, egg retrieval wise, embryo wise, just keep your expectations completely open. I am a very, very much type A planner person, and I tried to predict like the date that I would be pregnant if everything went to plan. And of course it didn't go to plan.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest part for me to grasp, was when things got delayed, which they probably will, just being okay with that.
Yeah.
I guess like we didn't end up able to do a fresh transfer, which means they do the egg retrieval, they get your embryos, they let them grow until 5 or 6 days, and then they transfer them right then.
Wow.
Fresh.
Yeah.
My levels from the injections that I was doing had my estrogen way too high, like astronomically high. And so my body was like not inhabitable.
Yeah.
My body was like a horrible vessel at that point. I had to wait until my levels came back down. So they had to freeze all the embryos, and then we had to start the frozen embryo transfer cycle, which meant a lot of progesterone shots, which are the horrible ones.
Yeah.
They're the ones in your butt and oil, and it's like the consistency of peanut butter they're injecting into your butt twice a day leading up to, it was horrible. If you're able to do a fresh transfer, you get to avoid that completely.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was just, my expectations were, you need to curb them before you get started and just let it come as it comes.
Yeah. Oh God. You IVF mamas are like kick ass because Lordy. What if anything will sleep training look like for your twins?
I try to do as little as possible is my goal. I try to set up good sleep hygiene from the beginning, and I don't like listening to my babies cry, and sleep training, inevitably you get some crying, and I totally understand that is just it's the first boundary that you're setting in your baby's life. And it's okay that they cry and are upset about that. The same thing as like car seats and strapping them in. They're going to cry about that, but you're not going to not strap them in because they're crying. That's kind of how I see it. I don't like to hear them cry. And if I can avoid it, if I can get their sleep like naturally to come along, then yay. But if I have to set that boundary that nighttime is for sleeping and they're waking up excessively, then that's what has to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you just got to do it.
I share about sleep training because I do that with all my kids. My kids are pretty darn good sleepers. It could just be because that's who they are, or I did sleep train them. But when I say sleep training, everyone's like, oh, and I'm like, oh, what do you think it is? Like, what is sleep training to you? Because there's so many definitions, but I'm like, they immediately think it's cried out method or like the extinction method, or I think or extinguish method. I don't even know, where you just let them go and you don't ever go in there. And
I think extinction.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I've done that before because for Cassidy, she would nothing I did worked. And at some point I was like I remember having a night where she cried and cried and cried, and I was so sleep deprived. And I remember standing over a crib and just going like, go to sleep. Like, and you're doing this. And she wasn't in my arms. I put her down, but I was so frustrated. And that's why, like, I always say, like, put your baby down. Like, if you're so tired, just please put your baby down and let them, like, walking away from a crying baby is the best thing you can do if you're ever frustrated.
In the moment. Totally.
Because
I mean, think about, you spent so much time choosing their crib and comfy sheets and adorable PJs and a soft sleep sack. Like, the worst thing that you're doing is laying them in a beautiful, comfy, safe crib.
Yeah.
And offering them an opportunity to sleep. Yeah. And it's their job to take that and learn to do that. It's not as bad as it seems, even if they are crying a little bit to get there.
Yeah. I feel like crying for me got a little bit easier with your first. You kind of like, you figure it out, because again, there's so many people, their opinions on crying and stuff like that. But once you have more than one baby, and again, you were thrown right into the gauntlet with that, like, there's only so much you can do. Usually in my household, someone is always crying at some point. Like, there's only so much I can do at any given moment, and I'm going to get to it. But sometimes, especially Haley's probably a good sleeper because she has to be, because I have other kids that I have to deal with first. So sometimes she'll be in her crib where I know she's safe while I deal with the other ones, and she has to fuss for a little bit. And then it is what it is. It's probably where she's
exactly.
It's probably why she fell asleep, but it just.
So you're so right, though. There will be crying no matter what. Yeah. So that's, I don't know, we're taking a trip coming up and we're like, oh man, is this a bad idea to do this right now? It's a long trip and it's going to be a lot of togetherness. And I just said the other night, I'm like, they're going to cry here at home throughout the day, or they're going to cry at Disney World. Yeah. And like, I'd much rather be at Disney World. Yeah. There's going to be meltdowns no matter where you are. So might as well go get out there.
Have fun. Yeah. Well, you can't stop kids from being kids. They're kids. That's the big thing is, I think that's a lot of times I used to get caught up in that, like kind of excusing my kids' behavior. And again, if they're acting like real a-holes, then that makes sense. But it was more like being embarrassed for them acting like kids, or if they were crying out in public and things like that. I'm like, they're kids. Like, at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I can. But they're kids. So.
Only so much you can do.
Exactly. Let's see what other questions. There's so many. I'll just pick a few. Was your IVF protocol different than your first IVF twin protocol with the second versus the first?
The only difference, well, there were some subtle differences in like the medications that they used, but on the second transfer, I already had the embryos. So I didn't have to do the shots leading up to an egg retrieval and the actual egg retrieval. So I got to skip like the first half of the process, which was nice, and jump straight to the transfer.
Love it. Have you and Brad ever considered doing meetups with your YouTube and Instagram supporters?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think that would be so fun, but I have like horrible, what is it called? Imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
I can't imagine anybody would want to meet me in real life. So I feel like, I don't know, we occasionally go to a big city, like we're in St. Louis quite a bit, in Kansas City. I don't want to put it out there that we're going to be there and like we could do a meetup, because I just don't want to like get there and there be crickets and like no one comes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It is what it is, but I just don't feel like anybody would want to come meet me.
Of course they would. I would want to meet you. All right, let's do one more, because my husband has to work an extra duty shift, and then I have to.
Fun.
I have to handle all the kids tonight. How do you deal with friends and family judging your influencer life content that you post?
That's a good one. It's funny, like my mom doesn't watch any content I put out. So, but then like I have an aunt that watches everything. Yeah. So I don't feel like I'm judged ever. I feel like I'm just very much who I am all around. So everybody knows who I am already, and they're not seeing a different side of me on Instagram or on YouTube. It's just all me. So don't feel judged at all. It's just, the tricky part is I don't know what to tell my mom. I don't know what she already knows or what I've already said. Yeah. Whereas and same with like some people at work will watch my content and I don't know what to tell them. Yeah. I don't know what they already know. Do you ever feel that way?
Because I'm like, how do you know, how much have you followed for today's stories? My mom doesn't follow me. So like, that's always like the big thing. My mom unfollowed me and I'm like,
Oh,
But she's like, it's not pertaining to my life. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's my family, so I would think that it would pertain to your life, but sure.
yeah. It is.
My mom doesn't like social media at all. Like, so
Okay.
she's not a fan of any of this stuff. She just, which I get, I think social media, she sees the bad side of it, which
Yeah.
is, makes sense. But,
Will she like not be in your content? She doesn't want to be in your content. So you have to like not pick up the camera when she's around.
Yeah. So usually on weekends, like this weekend is like the first weekend because they're away right now. Like if we're over there, usually I'm dead radio silent on my phone because they just don't even want it out. Like even when we were on vacation, I had to tell her, I was like, I have to be on my phone. I said, because unfortunately you have to keep the wheel turning, as you know, like if you just drop off, then the algorithm's going to think that you're done and then you get screwed. So I'm like, I have to keep things going. So I said, I'm not trying to get on my phone to be obnoxious. I just have to do it. Like in certain moments, I'm going to tone it back, but scale it back, but just know that. She was like, okay, fine, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's like chaos,
I love it.
Okay. Well, I'm wrapping up.
Haley's downstairs.
Where is she?
She's sitting. I fed her, but
where's she sitting?
In her chair. I'm just saying, I got to get in the shower. Cassidy's down there.
What's Cassidy doing with her?
I don't trust Cassidy.
Oh,
so
no.
Head down there.
This is the chaos. Well, thank you for coming on. We'll just wrap it up.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. I love just bring again, the whole idea of this is like real life moms talking real life things. And you're one of those. You're a real
Here we
life
are.
mom.
Yeah.
Oh, yay. Well, I will share all of your information in the show notes for anyone listening. I'll share all the information there. And then, if you want to find Rachel, you'll know where to find her.
Thanks, Mary.
Of course. Thank you.
Another episode down and way more to go, but thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to help support this podcast, I would love for you to subscribe. I'd love for you to share it with others and post about it on your own social media or leave a rating and review. I cannot tell you how helpful and how appreciated those things are for me. Of course, to catch all the latest from me, you can follow me over on Instagram at The Very Merry Life, over on TikTok, The Very Merry Life. And even if you wanted to check out my monthly newsletter, you can do so by subscribing over at theverymerrylife.com. I'll see you next week. Stay tuned for more honest, raw, real chit chat. I have some amazing moms lined up coming on and shit's going to get fun. So buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be good.